Okay, so I got the sills and rockers in place in the car to where they need to be. The next thing on the list I want to do is get this rear subframe in. And I mentioned it in a few comments. The differential spins the wrong way. And in order for the wheels to go straight or forward, got to spin the pinion to the right. And I was looking at the transmission, and when the motor is running and it's spinning, it's going to spin in a clockwise position. So it's spinning to the right, right? The cups are going forward in a forward direction, going to the right. When I spin this to the right, and you look at this pinion from the front, it also spins to the right on this side. All right, so this is going to spin this way. Now, in order for these wheels to go forward, they need to spin in that same way. Spins the opposite way, see? So realistically, first, second, third, fourth, fifth gears would just throw this car in reverse in all those gears. The only way around to do this was to just go and pick up the Audi diff back out of the Audi I just got rid of. Luckily, my friend sold it back to me at a fair price. So I'll be fitting this into the rear subframe and splicing the axles like I did on the other cars, which is fine because I got the lathe. I can do that. It's just more work. I was trying to avoid that. I just wanted a simple bolt-in solution, but nothing ever goes that easily. The only drawback with this solution is that it's way too long. So now I got motor, trans, and a huge long Audi diff. That needs to fit in Mini. So you might see the world's shortest drive shaft, or just no drive shaft. I guess you could just bolt it right up flange to flange. I'm not doing that. But yeah, it will be a tiny ass drive shaft. And there's no other diff I could really find except for just to use the Audi one, which makes sense. The only thing I want to do is I still want to re-gear this. I don't know if they make gears, so I can re-gear this because I'm going to be using 13-inch wheels, and I'm gonna run out of gear on the highway. But I'll figure that down the road. But this is kind of where I'm at now. But the next thing that's on the list is to get this main hoop in, which I already started. I bent it up in a previous video real quick. And it is like the toughest thing. It's always hard for me to get this thing lined up. So I got one side tacked in. I just gotta push that side out a little bit over there. I already had it in once and it was in the wrong spot. I had to cut it out. Yeah, let's do it again. It is what it is. But I need to move that over about 3 inches to that hole there. It'll be good. But I don't just want to pull it and weld it, because when you do that, I'm pulling the floor on the bottom here and on there. So I'm gonna have to put a brace from here to the side that's wider than it has to be, just to wedge it out. So that's what I'm gonna do next. It might be temperate or it might be for good, but I just need to like put in there for now so I get it welded in. And once the main hoop's welded in, then I can think about pushing the subframe back under the car and making some bracing off it to tie it into the main hoop. I'm gonna play around with this for a little bit and see how it goes. But first I'm gonna get the main hoop in. And there's 2 reasons why I did the slugs or the couplers in this roll cage tubing. First reason, to get a stick that's 10 foot long or 12 foot long, it's a lot of money right now. It's cheaper to buy 4 foot pieces or 6 foot pieces. To buy an 8 foot piece, there's an extra $80 just for shipping. And I just like couldn't like pull the trigger. And I don't even think 8 feet would have been long enough. I really think I need 10 feet just to be safe. So I did 1-inch slugs on the inside. I know people are gonna be frowned upon that, but it's just easier for me. And it's honestly easier for me to just get the bends right too, because I can make it in a smaller piece and add them together. So it is what it is. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm not gonna be, in the woods racing this thing. I'm just gonna drive it on the street and that's it. It's plenty strong enough. I don't think it's a weak point. This would never crack here. If anything, it would bend more right where that inner pipe ends, which still, once all this more cage connected to it, it should be fine. So yeah, I'm totally cool with that, doing this in my car. I wouldn't do it in someone else's car, but my car, I will do it. I will save a bunch of time by just doing this quicker like this, rather than taking a ton more time just to get the hoop right. But compared to the other hoops in the other car, I want this to be as close as I can possibly get it without hitting the window, which I think this is gonna be the best one yet, for sure. In Mini Rick, this bumps out probably like another 2 inches and back, which is totally fine. Problem is, your seats, you're limited with how wide of a seat you can put in the car. So like snugging this up right against as far as you can is good. I mean, it's literally touching the bends up here. Like that is a tight fitment. It does not do that in Mini Rick or the green car. So you're limited on seats. So making that fit as tight as you can is a plus. And this is what I got going down here. It's going through the sill. I'm gonna weld that up, box this plate in. It's 1/8 inch plate, so I'll box the sides, weld it all in, weld around the pipe. Then I'll have it secured here. I'll just, I mean, ideally I want it up against it, but it didn't quite work out in my favor. So it is what it is, but I'll just fill it with a bunch of weld. Same thing on the other side. As you can see, I already had it welded in, but I had to chop it out and redo this because it was not in correctly. There was, like, this side sagged down like an inch or two, so it was on like a crazy angle, and like it would have been fine, but it would have been, I don't know, I couldn't deal with it. It's actually still a little tighter on this side than on this side, but not by much. But I mean, I can't get this thing perfect. It's gonna be what it has to be. My main thing is getting that subframe in under the car as straight as possible, like as a wheel, like, you know, just get the wheelbase as good as I can get it, like from front tire to back tire, like same length on both sides. That's all I'm kind of concerned about. If I can get that as straight as I can get it, I think I'll be in good shape. But for just a couple tacks, I mean, it's in there. But once I put the extra piece in, it's gonna strengthen up this shell quite a bit. And then I can cut the rest of this out. But right now I'm using this. I got a center line here. I have a center line on the back of the partial shelf, and I have center lines on the subframe, which is gonna help me center the subframe when I put it in. See, I have my marks. This one right here, and this one right here. That's the center of this subframe. And then the only other thing I have to do now is find the center of this wheel arch. And if I get that spread up to the car, in theory, it should be as straight as it's gonna get, minus how bad the left from the right of the shell is racked, because I know it's racked. There's no doubt about it. All right, so to get this in the location I need it to be, I'm just gonna use another pipe that's longer than it has to be. And I'll just like put it in on an angle, and I'll hammer it down until it pushes it out. I mean, this does have flex, so it will go. My thing is, if I put this in, I don't know where my seats are going yet, but I really do need this to be out. I think I'm gonna make this pipe and just tack it in to hold it in place temporarily. And then when I fit the res subframe, how I have a plan how I'm gonna bolt into the main hoop, but I think when I do that, that alone should hold it spread open. So I think I'll do this temporarily. So I'm just gonna make another notch on the other side. And then I'll hammer it in until you know, this is on like an A, so I can hammer it up until this reaches the spot I need it to be. Then I can tack it and weld it, and I'll tack this just to hold it there for now. And then I'll pull in the rest subframe and I'll tie into the main hoops. Going off no measurements, it's just a 48-inch piece of pipe. I'm just gonna do another notch just right at the bottom, and that's it. And I'll come back and fit it. All right, let's see what we got. Alright, so this is gonna keep sliding on its own, so let me get the welder ready and we'll make tacks when I hold it up there. All right, the next thing I'm gonna do is try and close the gap between the pipe and the door frame just a little bit. I have zip ties. Obviously, you know, those are little teeny weeny that you can really hold it. But I'm gonna try and hold it in a little more and get that as close as I can and throw a tack on that. See how close the pipe is to this flange here? That's where the window sits. But I'm just filling it on a weird angle. See if I film from there, it looks pretty good. But here's the real test. That's how the window would sit in, and it doesn't hit. So we are good. The pipe can stay there. See, it doesn't hit. Aha! That's tight. All right, we're good. I can fully weld this in. All right, I got my main hoop in a spot where it shouldn't move. I got it tacked up pretty good on the bottom. Well, basically fully welded on the bottom. I mean, it's okay. At this point, it's okay to fully weld it in the main hoop at least, because the main hoop can only live in one spot, realistically, and that is right behind the seat where it's supposed to go. But I'll leave the tacks there because I'm gonna cut this off later on. That's just there temporarily. So I got it welded there, welded here. I need to make end caps for this box. Same thing on this side. Got a big old swoop right there, but it's in there, it's solid. Got the rear subframe somewhat mounted in. All right, to start off with, once I get this like somewhat in the right position I need it, I got my centering marks here. I have one up there between the two circles going down the backside, and I have them on the subframe too right there, and there's one somewhere right there, and the back of the valance right there. So once that's somewhat centered as best I can get it, I'm gonna do a bar attached to these captive nut washer things I made, and I'm gonna do a bent pipe that's gonna tie right into the main hoop here, somewhere down here somewhere. Maybe do another one in the back, and then one on this side, going to the other side of the hoop. And I'll start from there, and then I'll figure out a way to brace it all in. But that's kind of what I'm looking at now. And I leveled out the car the best I could on the ground. Pretty level. So yeah, I just gotta adjust this subframe to fit centered under the car, which is, it's pretty close for just eyeing it up. But I gotta get like a plumb bob and dangle it and whatnot. I gotta find out the center of the wheel arch too. But it's almost there, and then I can start bending some pipe and getting this fitted.